a little bit better of a aid-based package.
One comment I would have, though, is California has become extremely difficult to get anywhere with admissions offices because they look strictly at the SATs and the GPA. The UCs do have a personal statement, but my connection with admissions offices is those statements are read just perfunctorily. On the other hand, the out-of-state schools we happen to visit from the time the children were sophomores going forward, you get the name of the person who's really going to be in charge of this, and that connection you can make can be invaluable.
Totally agree. Yeah, making that personal connection and having somebody there who can be your advocate or your go-to person with questions when the student's applying for the school, I think it's definitely invaluable. So one of the things that, Robin, you and I had talked about was this notion about worrying about, will my child get into college? Are they going to be accepted anywhere? And I know you have some comments, but before, I ask you about those, this framing that I've laid out here I thought was excellent when I saw it. I'd like to claim it as my own, but it is not. But what this framing is to have somewhat of a strategy when your student's a senior and they're getting ready to send out their applications is, again, you can Google and find in a lot of places. I like collegeboard.org is my go-to site for research when it comes to acceptance rates or what their level of GPA or SAT scores are. But you can look and see where your student falls and come up with a list of safety schools, where your student's GPA and SAT scores would get them about an 80% acceptance rate, and then look at the match schools. And then if you have an exceptionally engaged and talented child, of course there's going to be those reach schools. Those are going to be the ones that do have that prestige and have the lower admittance rates. But by using an approach similar to this, whatever approach you use, but if you use something like this, what that can do is that can really help you and your student get a feeling of, yeah, I am going to be going to college. It's just a matter of what's going to be the best fit for me. So Robin, do you have any comments about that?
When my children were in high school, it's easy as a parent to get caught up with the best school to attend. What I've come to realize is if your child wants to go to college, there is a university or a college where he or she will attend. Even if it's not your first choice, it's not impossible to attend for 1 year or 2 years and then transfer to the first choice. So as parents, we need to be cognizant that there is a place for everyone, and those places can change as a child gets into college, matriculates well, makes a different choice of where to attend. So it's best for our children, at least it was best for my children, not for me to get overly involved or excited about where, and I should say excited, upset about options and issues. It was a matter of believing my child was going to make it to a college, and then they could always change from there if they needed to. We were lucky in that the two children who had early acceptance to Cal Poly happened to have pretty good scores, and they were going into engineering. The middle child, I was surprised she got accepted to Cal Poly, and I had to put my dream aside for a while. But I realized that even if the Cal Poly would have been the place for her to end up with, which by the way is where she went, it was okay no matter where she started because it can change in the future.
That's great perspective. So I'm going to, realizing that we're near the end of our time, I'm going to roll through some financial planning perspectives on this conversation. And so, the first place to start is the needs analysis. We have the cost of attendance. We've looked at that a few times today. We need to figure out what the expected family contribution is. We figured that out from the federal application for free student aid, the FAFSA. And we get down here to an adjusted need. That becomes a very important formula for those who are in this late stage of financial planning. You can find out more information. Here's some helpful resources. The other thing that when we have an engaged student, can find out, help them, the more we can help them, the better it's going to help our pocketbooks. And so finding out what school is going to be a good match for them is very helpful. Looking around at what merit-based grants are out there, and then preparing for college campus tours. Now, Robin, you and I had talked just a little bit about campus tours, and there's this notion of, we do have some information on our website about signing up for, and they have very formalized campus tours. But what was your experience with the campus tours? Because I know you took a little less than traditional method.
We decided that as our children's oldest started to be a sophomore in college, where we could, we would go visit a campus unannounced, not part of the formal tours, etc., that they give prospective students. And because of that, we could really, the kids could really see what campus life was like. We walked around the campus, we sat in on a class, can't remember what it was, made our way to the admissions office eventually, but it was just the family, my husband and I and our 3 children. And we were able to find, at least it seemed to me, my children had a much better sense of what the campus was like. Second, because we could go to the admissions office in many cases, or the department they might be interested in, we were able to make a personal connection, whereas when you're on a formal tour, you don't really get that opportunity. So that's how we chose to do it, and I think it worked really well for our family.
Yeah. I think both are a great. They're just great information. And again, getting back to your comments about your family and your student best, it's just nice to have that insight of of options.
Mm-hmm.
So here we have how you can help the student. Again, helping the student really helps you. There are assessment and aptitude tests. High school counselors look at the careers, their interests and hobbies when considering careers that they might want to do or pursue. So some of the tools in education planning, we like to look for grants, savings and investments, loans, tax deductions and credits, and income shifting and gifting where appropriate. Grants, we have 2 types. We have the need-based. We also have merit-based. When it comes to loans, definitely want to stay away from loans to the extent possible. You want to stay away from loans that are not federally subsidized. Here's some information about the federally subsidized loans. We have some need-based loans, and then depending on what year your student is, has a direct relationship to how much you're eligible for. And of course, right now, as many may know, Congress is reviewing these interest rates, and they may be going up, but for the time being, that's what they are. We like to take a look at tax credits and deductions. Here we have some information about the various options there. Income shifting, so depending on what type of family we have, it may be in the best advantage to gift appreciated property to the child and let them recognize the tax impact of that and save some money along the way. Of course, we need to be aware of kitty tax rules as we go through that, but those are all some of the tools. So the overall goal for us as the financial planners is to help you minimize the out-of-pocket cost for an education. However, at the end of the day, the thing that's most important is finding the right school for your child and helping them to get started in their career. So with that, I don't know, Robin, if you have any concluding remarks or things that you and I have talked about that I've neglected to ask you about today that you'd like to share with our audience.
I just have 2 things. Some schools your child may apply to, for example, Cal Poly, says you must apply in a certain major, and that's the only major you can study there. In fact, that's not true. So I would not be scared off by that prohibition. My older daughter actually was in the College of Agriculture, shifted to the College of Engineering, was able to take classes, etc. So it depends on the child's performance at school. Second, as our kids were preparing in high school, you tend to be friends with or hang around your children's peers' parents. The best recommendation I can give a parent when you're preparing to look at these issues is not discuss it with anybody. Because as soon as one mother says, well, my son did this, this, and this for his college resume, the rest of us start wondering, why didn't we do that? So my most important goal, and I learned this after my first child, is believe in yourself and your child, because you know best for your child, and don't listen to anybody else about what their children are doing.
Excellent advice and words of wisdom. So with that, I'd like to see if anybody has any questions about the items that Rob and I talked about, or anything that